These are so much more comfortable than our chairs in the vendor hall.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Woo! So, as she said, I am Scarlett Rose. I'm also known as Jenna Caine. Jenna Caine is my voiceover name. This is my assistant, Jess. She's going to be helping out today. Basically, the way that this panel is run is I have a bunch of notes that I can give you guys that are things that we get asked frequently in these panels about how to get started and what equipment to use, where to go for demos, things like that. So after I go through those, we usually open the floor for questions. Once we open the floor for questions, that's when Jess will come down and she'll be able to talk to you and you can ask her questions and I will do my best to answer those for you. Okay, sound good? All right, cool. So if you are ready to take some notes, I recommend getting your phones out now, or notebooks or pens or a quill, whatever works best for you. Sound good? Okay.
Also, there's a bit of a competition between the cat stages, and the gato stage is clearly the better stage. So if we could be really loud so they can hear us. Yeah, do it.
Kind of like that.
So yeah, let's give it. Woo! Yes, we love that energy.
We got you guys.
Yes.
We told you we'd do it.
You guys are lit. We love this.
So a little bit about me. I've done video game work. I've done some animation. I've done audiobooks. I've done commercials. Done a lot of indie work, things like that. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is your equipment. Your equipment is very important. It's going to range in pricing. Obviously, you're not going to want to go out and get a $400 microphone when you're brand new and you're just starting out. So I have a couple that I'm going to give you a list of the ones that we recommend. And again, like I said, they are going to range from like $30 up to $1,000. Okay? So the first one that we recommend is the Audio-Technica AT 2020. Audio-Technica AT 2020. I feel like I'm playing bingo.
It is a little bingo-esque.
It's like bingo, but with really expensive equipment.
Shout bingo if you get it, guys.
Yeah. Bingo.
Love it.
Bingo for equipment. Awesome. The second one is the Rode RODE in all caps, NT2A. Anyone have bingo? No? Okay. Okay. Third one is going to be the Shure SHURE SM7B, as in boy.
Yeah.
Oh, you got bingo? Good. Woo! Okay. The fourth one is the Neumann NEUMANN-TLM103. The last one is really hard to say, so I'm going to spell it for you. It's SENNHEIRMKH416. Did we all get that? Yes, after the SER, it's a space and then MKH. Now, if you type them in, they're going to show up no matter what because these are very, very unique titles for these microphones. So you should be good with being able to find them when you look them up.
So guys, I highly recommend Googling all of 5 of those microphones because they're going to have different characteristics and price points.
Yes.
And they're going to be different, and some of them are going to, say, if you've got a really bassy voice, get this one. If you've got a really high timbre to your voice, get this one. Or if you've got more money to spend, get this one. If this was a more entry level, get this one. And kind of just look at those 5 and find the one that's going to fit you best. But those are the 5 that they really recommend for that kind of entry level voiceover.
Yeah. So again, I would not start with a $400 microphone. It's okay to use a USB microphone to start. As you advance, I do not recommend using one of those. It is a lot harder to regulate your vocals. Okay? We'll take questions once I'm done, I promise. I'll go quick. Somebody asked about, you need the spelling of the last one? Yeah. Okay, I'll spell it one more time. It's SENNHEISER, and then a space, M as in monkey, KH416. Okay. Okay. So in addition to your microphone, you're going to need interfacing. Okay. This is very important when it comes to regulating your voice. So you're gonna need interfacing. You're also gonna need a program for your recording.
Geez, what's interfacing?
Interfacing. Oh gosh.
What is it?
Oh gosh. Okay. So when your sound is getting transferred into your computer, this is basically your special little box where you can regulate your voice. So if you have too much background sound, or it's too loud, or it's not loud enough, there's gonna be like little dials and things that you can regulate on it. And I highly recommend, once you have one, playing with that to make sure that you get the best quality of sound for your voice at that point with those settings. Okay. So for interfacing, the one that I have is the Focusrite Scarlett Solo. I highly recommend that one. You can actually get that one on Amazon. So it's Focusrite, R-I-T-E, and then Scarlett Solo, S-O-L-O. The second one is the Roadmaster, R-O-D-E Master. And then there's also the Zoom Live Track, and that's track is T-R-A-K. So the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, that one I've been using for the last 4 years. I have no problem with it. It's really easy to use, so I would recommend starting with that one. So as far as software for things for recording, obviously you need to record something so that you can send your MP3s in. For those, you can use Audacity. Audacity is free. There's also GarageBand, which is free for Mac if you have a Mac computer, and Adobe Audition. Audition is what I use, and that's what I've been using since the beginning. It's very, very easy to use, so I recommend that one. Now, as far as your setup for all of these items, I would recommend a stand or a flexible arm for your microphone. If you have it sitting the way this is, this sounds really good, but when you're actually doing recording, if anything, it's gonna pick up in your mic. Everything's gonna pick up in your microphone, so keep that in mind. Also a pop filter. This can kind of be considered a form of one, like the foam, but it's actually an extension that comes out and goes in front of your microphone. So it's like a little round piece. You've probably seen them if you watch any of those videos of your voice actors, doing some auditions or recording some lines. They usually have a form of a pop filter on them. An XLR cable with copper inputs. That also has to do with your interfacing that's plugging into your computer. And then over-ear headphones. So that's basically your noise cancellation headphones, and your headphones will also plug into your interfacing like your Scarlett Solo so that you're only hearing what you sound like.
I feel like we should give it up for all of our great gear that we're learning about. Let's go, Gatto Stage!
Get loud!
You guys are the best.
Cool. Are we ready to move on to classes and demo information?
Sounds great.
Good? Okay, awesome.
Woo!
All right. Sorry, I'm using my phone, guys. I usually have a PowerPoint, but I'm going old school. Okay, so online remote classes. Classes that you can take basically using Zoom, which is great. Real Voice LA, I'm sure you've probably heard of that one here and there. They have some great classes, and they're actually pretty affordable pricing, so I would highly recommend checking those out. Help Network, H-A-L-P.
Help.
There's also classes with Rachel Messer, M-E-S-S-E-R, and Jose Sandoval. So that's for remote classes. Now, we also have acting coaches that I recommend. This list is a little bit longer. Ironically, one of them is gonna be on the stage after me. Steve Bloom, if you've never heard of him, I'd be surprised. Richard Horvitz.
Yay.
Charlie Adler. Chris Rager, which is for anime. If you really wanna get into anime, highly recommend Chris Rager. Craig Lee Thomas. Ariana Ratner. And then we also would recommend finding other working actors that have also done voice acting. So there are several that will offer classes. Just make sure that you check their credentials to make sure that they have done enough work to actually be able to be giving those classes. Okay, so now we're on to the fun stuff. Auditions. Where the heck do you audition for things? So There's ones that we call pay to play. These are websites where basically you have to have a subscription to them in order to do auditions or to see what they're offering. So those are Voices, just the word Voices. The second one is Voice123. And then you're gonna get into your more expensive ones. You have Backstage. I'm sure you've probably heard of Backstage. Back in the day, it used to be like a magazine where you would like go through and find auditions and like mail things in, because that was the old school way of doing things. And then Actors Access. And there's other resources as well. There's Casting Call Club. I don't use that one as much, but they do have some things on there that you can look through, and it is a free website. Twitter, which is also known as X now, that one actually people will post up a lot of positions that they have open. It's a great place to learn how to do some auditions on there as well. Also Discord and Facebook groups. So people post in all different locations. It's just a matter of where you decide to look to start. I actually started on, oh God, where did I start?
You should talk about Fiverr.
Huh?
Fiverr.
That's the one I was just thinking of. It and escaped my brain. Sorry guys, I get a little spaced out with all the lights.
That's why
I
she
actually,
me.
yeah, my ADHD sometimes is like, oh my God. I started on Fiverr. I don't recommend it long term, but it's really good if you want to use it for practice. So I used that for a good year for practice, and I found it really helpful just because there's like all different kinds of things on there. But ironically, one of the roles that I got ended up blowing up so much that it went to San Diego Comic-Con. And my voice was aired there and some of their accompanying other conventions, and I got that one off of Fiverr. So I was a pink hippo named Taffy.
The best pink hippo.
Yeah. And that's the cartoon that blew up. But again, I ended up getting that role off of Fiverr. So you never know. You can find things in all different places. So it's good to check. And again, practice, practice, practice. Very, very important. Big thing to remember is it is little v, big A, meaning you are acting. You might be acting in a small little box covered with foam, but you need to pretend that you're screaming on a mountain at a dragon. So keep that in mind. Your voice matters, but your acting matters more. Another thing that we get asked about a lot is demos. You do not need to have a demo right away. When you are ready to have a demo, you can go to places like Real Voice LA and they will do those for you, but they are going to be expensive. So keep that in mind. It is okay to not have one at first and just to do auditions. I do normally do this panel with 3 other people, and we've had different experiences. My friend that mainly does anime, Tabitha Garland, she got most of her work from auditions. I get a lot of work from my demos, and it's kind of mixed. So you do not have to have one when you initially start. So keep that in mind, especially with expenses when that comes into play. Do not go out and spend $5,000 on a home studio, that kind of thing. One more thing that people ask about a lot is where to record. You're gonna wanna record if you have a closet that you can go into. If you don't have a closet, you can use PVC pipe and $5 moving blankets and zip ties and record in there.
A closet with the clothes in it, you guys.
Yes,
clothes. The clothes are dampening the sound and you want that.
Yeah, any kind of fabric, pillows. I actually, when I first moved to my current home, I didn't have the studio set up in my closet yet, so I put a chair in there and covered myself in pillows and was like bent over trying to record underneath a chair. It looked absolutely ridiculous, but it got the job done, and I did get the job for that. So don't have to have anything crazy expensive right away, but just keep in mind anything that will help with reverb, including staying away from things like windows. Do not record in large rooms. If you can help it, stay in corners, things like that.
Stay away from hard floor areas as well, guys. That's the
Carpet's
worst.
your friend. Anything that can absorb sound, essentially. So those are the main questions that we get asked about at every single panel that we do. We do this around the country, so we kind of took a collective effort of what we get asked about a lot. So at that point, I am done droning on about all of these excessive details, and everyone's like, can I ask my question now? Yes, you can now ask questions.
Jenna, I'd really love to hear your reel.
My reel?
I'm gonna put it up on the microphone.
Oh, no, you don't have to do that.
Oh, I'm gonna.
But if you want to hear my reel, you can go to my website. It's JennaCaineVO.com, and I will repeat that at the end of the panel. But we are good to start taking audience questions.
Okay.
So I'll let you pick. Jess is going to help filter these.
In the corner, there is a microphone in the center. If you guys could walk up to it, because we cannot hear you real well. So glasses right here. Yeah, you.
If you guys have questions, feel free to line up down the center aisle by the microphone, and we're going to go one at a time.
Okay, so what would you say your favorite role you took was?
My favorite role that I took?
Yeah.
There's one I can't talk about that I'm really excited about.
That doesn't count.
Currently, honestly, I am gonna have to say Taffy, which is the
Pink
hippo that I did.
Okay.
Yeah, Taffy, the pink hippopotamus, just because it is so different from my normal voice, because I basically had to turn myself into a Disney princess hippo.
I mean, hey, it's better to expand your roles.
Yes, exactly. So that one, that's my favorite one as of right now, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. I'm an aspiring art writer, and I was wondering how a writer would go out and find an audiobook voice actress or actor.
So all those places that I mentioned, like Backstage, Fiverr, everything like that, you can actually post your listing on there. You can also post your listing on X or Twitter, Facebook groups, Discord. You just have to post all of the details of what you are looking for. And you would say, like, it's a book about this, if it's paid or not paid, if it's union or non-union, and just put all of those details there and just say that you're asking for auditions as well as the format that you want the audition to come through. Like if you want it in an MP3 to be sent to you in email, how you want the MP3 to be like titled out, just to keep it organized for you. But you can basically post that in any of those locations that I mentioned for auditions, and I guarantee you will get a ton of people sending you their work.
Thanks.
Yep.
Sorry. Hello. I have a general question. Would you say that learning impressions is a good way to practice your vocal range?
It is. I love doing impressions. I think it's fun. Important thing to keep in mind, though, is that you're being hired for your voice. So, like, there's thousands of people that can sound like Mickey Mouse, but they're gonna hire you for you and what you sound like. So it is important to do inflections and to do impressions of things just to get a good vocal range. It's important to warm up your voice as well when you're doing those things. Don't do anything that's gonna strain your voice. And if you are, make sure you're prepared for that. It is important to do. You will learn those things in classes. They will teach you how to find your proper range. I would work on that, but work on that professionally with a teacher.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hello.
Hi, hobbyist, content creator, and aspiring man of 1,000 voices.
Awesome. Welcome.
I am also working on a shoestring budget. I have the Blue Yeti attached to OBS Studio. Is that okay to start at least?
Pretty much everything's okay to start when you're practicing and learning. Some of those microphones are better for streaming, and OBS is better for streaming than it is for actual recording. Mm-hmm. But it is okay to use those when you're starting out. Work with what you have. You don't want to dump hundreds of dollars into something that you're just starting out and learning. So I would say that's okay to use to start.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Here you go.
Hello.
Hello. So it's always been my dream to become a voice actor. I actually at one point did get a part, but that project eventually shut down. The one thing that I'm really worried about is consistency. They wanted me to have a voice that was slightly different than my own. It's a little harder to keep up the consistency of something that's even slightly different, though. Would you have any thoughts on that?
So I always say to not take roles that you can't keep up with the voice they're requesting, because then you're going to strain your voice. It's important when you are auditioning for these things to only audition with voices that you can keep up with doing for a long-term period of time. For example, the voice of Goku. If you can't scream like that or keep that voice for hours, days, weeks, months, you're gonna end up hurting your voice, and then it's not gonna work well with the project, and then you could risk losing the project. Definitely take classes just to learn what your proper range is. Once you do that, make sure that, like, if a project's like, well, can you do this voice? Do what you can do that you feel comfortable doing, and say, does this work for you, like with the audition? And some roles are not going to work. It just depends on your voice. Like, I don't always have like the squeaky anime voice, as you can probably hear as I'm talking, but I can do a guy's voice. So you just have to do what you're comfortable with. Just keep in mind, like, it is your voice and you are in control of that. And if you hurt your voice, that becomes an issue of consistency, because then you're not going to get work. So just make sure when you audition that you're honest with yourself and with the person you're auditioning with if they're asking you to do something that may be outside of your range.
Okay, yeah, fair. Thank you.
Welcome. Hello.
Hi. So I have a couple of related questions.
Okay.
So first of all, and this is actually kind of an issue right now I'm hearing, is that a lot of the time when I hear my voice played back, it does not sound anything like what it sounds like coming out of my mouth.
Welcome to the club.
I know there's this thing where, like, your jawbone kind of like conducts sound and gives it a little bit of a bass boost when you're hearing it out of your mouth. But this is like way beyond anything that could possibly be like. I'll like talking to a microphone, even with headphones on. I'll talk into a microphone and it sounds one way, and then I hear it played back and it sounds like some completely different person's voice. And
this is true for everyone. Literally everyone in this room hates the way they sound when it's played back to them. All of us, even listening to me come over the speakers right now, it's just a human phenomenon. The only way you can get over it is just continue to listen to your own voice played back to you. It's totally normal. And just continue to listen to your own voice played back to yourself.
Yeah. So it's especially an issue when I do like impressions. Like when it comes out of my mouth, it sounds like 90% of the way there. And then when I hear it played back, it's like maybe 50% of the way there at most. I've worked with my brother and he seems to think it's about 90% of the way there. So I'm guessing maybe it's my brain playing tricks on me.
Trust the outside source.
Yeah, we tend to be really critical of our own work. I tend to be. Like, right now I'm listening to myself and I'm like, all right, now it kind of sounds like me. But when I first started talking, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it just sounds strange sometimes when you're hearing it. You're probably just not used to hearing it in that way. When I first started doing it, I was listening to myself and I was like, is that actually me? Because it sounds weird. So that's completely normal.
I think maybe it's like because our brains didn't evolve to hear our own voices played back to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So the related question, actually, and this goes to the impressions thing. So I got my interest in this because I got inspired by a particular voice actor. I'm not going to say who it is because I'd just rather not. But I got involved in it by being inspired by that person, and I started doing impressions of that person. And I've been talking with my brother again, and he's kind of like cautioned me to kind of like, if I want to actually get into the voice acting profession, I'm going to need to move beyond just doing the impressions. And I'm wondering if do you know of any kind of good way to kind of make that transition? Because I'd still kind of like to be kind of in the same style as this person, but I want to have my own unique identity too. And I'm curious, do you know any idea of how to make that transition?
Classes, practice.
Okay.
You're definitely, so I also was inspired by Colleen Klinkenbeard. She is like my favorite, and she's the reason I even started getting into voice acting, because I met her and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this woman, she's amazing. But again, they're not gonna hire you because you sound like Colleen.
Yeah.
They're gonna hire you for you.
Yeah.
So take classes with those people that I was talking about, like Ariana Ratner and Steve Blum and things like that, and find your best unique voice.
Yeah.
And that's what you're gonna run with, because
Okay.
you're gonna get hired for you.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Welcome. Hello.
One of my questions I was going to ask was, how many microphones have you used since you started?
I'm on my third. I just got my third, and the one I just got is my more advanced one, so that one was like 400, but I also have been doing this for over 4 years.
Okay. What would you say your favorite microphone was?
The one that I just got, because I was saving up for it for a while.
My second question was like, what is your favorite equipment that you've used before?
Honestly, my laptop, because my laptop has been working with me for years this whole time, and she's like my little precious Lenovo, and I'm just now replacing her, and I'm very sad about it. So I'm gonna like find a little special place to put her in my studio, just on like a little pedestal. It's just a comfort thing. Something else to note also that just brought me to another point. Make sure that the system that you are using is quiet. A lot of us record with iPad or laptop because they don't have a loud processor noise. If you're using a computer, make sure that the tower is outside of your recording space, because as we all know, towers will be fine, and then all of a sudden they're just like, and that does not sound good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On that note, you guys, if you're recording in your house, turn your air conditioner off while you're recording. You're gonna get sweaty, but the last thing you need is a beautiful session, and then you play it back and all you hear is AC noise.
Your air conditioning is gonna be, it's annoying.
There's been lots of times that she'll call me and she'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I can turn my air conditioning back on.
I literally made a reel about it because I was laughing so much, because I was done recording and I was like, it's so hot in here. And I live in Orlando. So turning off the AC feels like a death sentence. And you're in there and you're
That's
like,
real
I can
commitment.
do this, but you're like sweating to death, but you did a really good job. So you're like excited about your work, but then you really need a shower, and it's like a really weird mix of emotions.
I'm gonna lock myself in the foam closet in Orlando and turn off the air conditioning.
That's why I put pretty things in my foam closet. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm doing this for you.
Let's have the next question.
Hi, I just have a question where I work full-time doing something right now, and I'm wondering if I do want to pursue this as a career, what would I do to be able to make the time or anything to pursue it?
So realistically, I'm going to tell everyone right now, do not quit your day job until you are established. It is totally okay to have a day job in addition to this. I also have a day job in addition to this. A lot of things, as far as like if you're looking towards like you want to make that income, you're going to be doing audiobooks and commercials more than anything. The audiobooks can range pay from like $400 to $2,000 plus, depending on what they're looking for. Those are going to be your bread and butter. That's my friend Stefan Watson's bread and butter. He absolutely like kills it with those. They are a lot of work, so you're going to have to learn to time yourself properly, and that comes with time and practice. And you're also going to probably have to do multiple voices in the book. So again, like more time and practice. For that one, it's AX. I believe it's AX. It works through Amazon, but it's for audiobooks. And if you want to give those a shot, I absolutely recommend it. You can go on there and submit auditions for the books. But as far as like establishing that income, that's going to be where you're going to get the most money out of it, is going to be that in commercials. But it is totally okay to have a full-time job while you are pursuing voice acting as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you guys want to stop by the cosplay booth later today, we can text Stefan and find out exactly where those
I have it.
audiobooks are.
It's ACX.
Okay.
That's what it is. ACX.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Audiobooks. ACX.
Perfect.
Yes.
Go ahead,
I just
next
forget. I
question.
forget things
Yeah.
randomly. Sorry.
Go ahead, next question.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm kind of in the middle of my voice acting journey right now, and I wanted to kind of know what your recommended milestone would be before considering to look for an agent to kind of help me also look for roles.
Good question. So 3 of us have agents and 1 of us doesn't. I would say once you feel like you are comfortable in your own skin with your voice and you know what you're delivering, then you can start looking for an agent. At that point, you would want to have professional reels that you are going to be sending to that agent. You're also going to want to have a resume the same way that you would for a job in order to send that to that agent. It's kind of your own journey. I couldn't tell you like exactly when to do that. I wouldn't do it when you're first starting out. If you're like midway through and you have a couple of things under your belt that you're proud of, that you feel like this is good to present, and you have reels and things like that, and you're comfortable with your voice, I would say that's okay to start sending out. But just for note, you do not have to have an agent. My friend has never had an agent and she's on Crunchyroll. So it's a lot of, who you know, practicing, getting different jobs, putting yourself out there. And then my other friends, they all have agents. I also have an agent. So it kind of depends on your own journey, but you can do it without one, especially when you're starting out. I hope that answers. Yep, you're welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, that was way too high. Hold on.
I feel you. I am only 5'2". I look taller because of these. I don't always dress like this, just throwing that out there.
No, I'm 5 foot myself.
Nice.
What would you say is a reasonable ask for pricing for your first couple of, commercials or audiobooks or voice jobs?
So when you're new to this and you are not SAG-AFTRA, which you wouldn't be unless you have those credentials already, if you look online, you can actually look up indie pricing for voiceover. I recommend Googling indie pricing for voiceover. Those are going to give you your standard rates of what you should be charging, essentially, especially once you have some, you've been established a little bit. Indie work is amazing to take, but those are going to be your prices for things that are not like the unionized SAG-AFTRA credited. So I would recommend looking that up to establish your pricing, and you can look through that and see what you feel comfortable charging. I have done stuff that I've charged a lot. I have done things that were for free because it was beneficial to what I was going for. So it all kind of depends on your comfort level, but definitely look up the indie pricing for those things, and that should be able to help you with what you should do.
Okay, and one more quick question.
Sure.
Along with that, how would you distinguish jobs that you find online from reputable to not reputable? How do you trust an ad?
That's a tough one. Usually I will only audition in particular places like backstage.
Don't trust Craigslist.
Yeah, don't do Craigslist. I definitely wouldn't do Craigslist. At least I don't love Fiverr, but Fiverr at least had some protections in place. When people are posting jobs, you can look up the companies to make sure that they're credible, those kinds of things. The same way that you would research a job, do the exact same thing with the positions that you're looking at in voiceover. It's still a job, even though it's a cool, fun job for all of us, we all want to do this, but it is still a job. So the same way you'd send a resume, you're going to research that company the exact same way that you would Marriott or Hilton or anybody else that you're working for.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hello.
Hi-oh.
Hi, Kermit.
Hello. Thanks for the advice.
Sure.
Just wanted to say hi-oh. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kermit. Huh? Yep, go right ahead. Jess is going to be coming into the audience and taking pictures. Pay her no mind. She is lovely. But just keep being your unique selves. You don't have to pose or anything. I might do that because I look like this. I don't normally do these panels in these costumes. It's just the situation today. But cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm not, oh God, I get what you guys mean.
Yeah, it's weird. When you start talking into it, you're like, oh my God, is that what I sound like? And it's booming in this entire room, so it feels even weirder. But that's okay, you sound great. Keep going.
For music that is sung, are the songs written with the voices in mind, or is the casting done with a previously established song and range in mind?
That is a really great question. So this goes into auditions, and you just brought up a good point for me. A lot of the time when you are auditioning for something, the director or producer probably has a voice in mind for that song or that character or that scene. So typically, yes, they will have something in mind. Sometimes they have no idea. More often than not, they will. So when you do auditions, don't take it personally if you don't get picked. You may just not fit what they're thinking that the character is going to sound like. So yes, typically they will. And also when you audition, you're going to send off like 400 auditions. And if you get one response, that's awesome. Like that's good. So that's the norm. It's the same as like Hollywood where it's a lot of auditioning over and over. But yes, to answer long-winded version of your question, yes, they usually do have a voice in mind for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Howdy.
Hi, welcome.
So my question, really quick, is obviously using your voice is your whole bread and butter. Is there any particular warm-ups or routines that you stick to help prevent burning out your voice?
That's a great question as well. Taking care of your voice is extremely important. Make sure that if you are doing any sort of like screaming scenes or anything like that, that you do those at the very end of your recordings. Very important. I treat my voice with honey. I gargle salt water. I do all of those things. Warm-ups are really important. You can look them up online. There's a slew of different ones that you can do, including the straw method, which certain people like doing those, certain people don't. I hum a lot in my car, which sounds ridiculous, but it oddly helps me. Definitely always warm up your voice. And look up, just like I said, Google like some ways to warm them up. There's a million different options, but it is important to do because if you don't do that, you can hurt your voice. So just look up what you think would work best for you and just try practicing those and like pick what works best. But yeah, definitely do those every single time you're gonna be recording.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you mentioned before when going over the microphones that certain ones are more acclimated to different voices. How can you tell which one is like the best for your particular voice? Like mine, for example, I don't know what I'd classify it as.
So as far as like the microphone for your voice, that really kind of just depends on when you record, you have to adjust what it sounds like and see if you like how you sound in the microphone. You won't really know which one's the best one for you until you try them out. I usually look up like the ones that have the best quality and recommendations, and that's what I go with. Like I have friends though that they have like 3 different microphones and they prefer some over others for one reason or another, but I would just go with what you find is the best recommended microphone for you within your budget and start with that. And honestly, that's the best way to figure it out. That's gonna be like a personal like preference of what you sound like and how your recordings turn out and if you like your sound.
Okay, another thing, a lot of other panels or other voice actors have said that one thing is to, have acting experience and all that sort of thing, but is that like absolutely necessary? Because I don't have a lot at this point and I can't exactly go to drama school or something to try and pick that up now. So.
Yeah. So again, like I said earlier, it is little v, big A. Acting is important because you are acting even though you are using your voice. That's why I recommend taking classes. You don't have to like go to drama school or anything like that, but like if you want to take classes on Real Voice LA, they're really affordable and you can do them online. Like you don't have to like go to a school to do that. My background is in theater and Shakespeare and all of these other like kind of crazy things. So my background was not in voiceover, it was in acting. But my other friend started with voice acting, had never done any acting in her life and was brand new to it. So she just started taking classes and they would teach you essentially how to use your voice, but like this is your voice, but like here's the scene and what is happening. And if this person was experiencing this particular situation, how would they react to it? How would you react to it? Like if you dropped scalding hot water on your foot, you wouldn't be like, that's cool. So it's stuff like that. But you don't have to have a background in acting, but I do recommend taking classes just to get like a general idea of what you should be doing. That's a great way to learn. I mean, there's people take classes that are like super duper professional and have been doing this for years. They still go to classes for it.
Don't discount community theater, you guys.
Yeah, community theater is a good one too.
One last question. Currently, prior to this, I would use my old MacBook to record with, but because I prefer GarageBand, is it probably a good idea to like have a separate computer for recording versus like your normal computer?
You don't have to. My one friend, Zach Cipriano, uses his MacBook for both his voice acting and his regular stuff, so you don't have to. Are they getting loud again?
They're being loud again. I feel like we need to give it back
We might need to
them.
hype really quick.
Sir?
You guys are so good. I'm
Yeah, you guys
so
are
impressed.
You guys are killing it.
Sir, survey says I think we have them cooked.
Yes, Gato is winning.
Hi there.
Hi.
Question about what happens after you have a demo. What are
Okay.
the next steps? Like you said, you got a lot of roles from your demo. What do you do with it? Do you send it to people? Do you post it on Twitter? What's next?
So me personally, I have a backstage account. So in my backstage account, it's kind of like your Facebook. Like here's your photos, here's some about me info. It's the same concept, at least on backstage. It would be the same on Fiverr. So you would post those things on those websites essentially. People can find you through there, but then when you audition, you send that with your audition. So even if I'm reading what is called sides, which is like little miniature versions of scripts for these characters, I still also send my reels. So you can have an account where you have all of that stuff on it. Usually on like Twitter and Facebook and things like that, they'll post and they'll say, okay, we're gonna have an audition for this character, blah, blah, blah. This is how we want the auditions. Or they will say, post your reel in the comments. That happens a lot. At that point in time, you would say, I'm so-and-so, this, that, and the other. I would love to be considered. Here is my reel, and put it in there on my Twitter, X, whatever. I like Twitter. It's a bird.
Twitter.
It's Twitter. I have my reel like post. Like I posted my reel as a post, and I just pin that to the top of my profile. So if somebody comes and looks at it, then they can find it easily. That's how I've done it, but it kind of depends on each different website for that. So yeah, just depending on where you're auditioning, just see how they prefer it.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
How we doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Swell and dandy.
Awesome.
Just a quick question I had. At what point in your career do you have to consider like geographic location? Do you think there's a certain point that you might have to consider moving to an area where, opportunities are more plentiful?
That is a really good question as well. So most places will let you record remotely now. Like I said, I live in Orlando. I started voice acting though when I lived up here in Pennsylvania. So I did a lot of remote recording, which is fine. There are certain studios, such as Funimation, that you have to live in Texas.
Oh, really?
So when you get to a point with them where you're consistently getting work all the time, that's when you would consider needing to move. Aside from that, you shouldn't have to relocate unless it gets to that point with a company like that. Like two of us live in Orlando. My other two friends live in random little towns that I can't even remember the name of in Utah, and they're phenomenally accomplished. So until you're at that point with a particular studio where like you need to move, you shouldn't have to worry about that as long as you have a proper recording set up in your home or wherever you end up recording, if it's a studio, etc.
All right, makes sense. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I was always told for a job, don't move unless someone else is paying for it.
That's a really, really good thing to remember. I like that.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm mostly an artist and I'm trying to learn audio stuff on the side.
Okay.
And I want to ask if you have any advice for getting a good ear for audio. Like I'll watch a video where someone's talking about how they're editing like an audio clip.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, this is it before, this is after, I fixed this, this, and this. And to me, they just sound the same. So yeah.
So usually as far as like figuring out your audio and like how to get into that, for auditions and recordings, they actually will usually tell you what format they want it in. Like if it needs to be in an MP3, the quality and how it sounds is going to come down to you using that interface fine tuning and your microphone and your computer. So I would recommend recording yourself saying a lot of random stuff and listening to it and fine-tuning your interface so that you're getting that proper sound coming out of it. There's no like right or wrong way to do it, but you're gonna want you don't want background noise. And if you hear a cat meowing or like if they're working construction on a building next to you, probably don't record during that time of day. Not a good idea because you're gonna hear a bulldozer in the background. But usually it's in, like they'll tell you, we want your name _ audition _ character name and must be in .mp3 format. So a lot of them are in MP3, but that's basically how you would know what to record. But as far as like your own, like when you're sending off stuff, just practice with it and get everything fine-tuned.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Friends, we're down to 15 minutes. Just letting you know so we can try to make it through everyone's questions.
Yeah, and we'll let you know if we're getting to like the last question. I'll give you like a. But that's a good warning. I like this. Sorry, I'm having an ADHD moment. There's a ticking clock right here, and it's awesome. I have never had this at a panel. Like, there's always someone in the back of the room that's like, we need the walk-off music.
Oh, we do.
From like the Oscars, when someone's like, thank you so much, and you hear music, and it's like, get off. Like that's, yeah. I would love that at one of these, like, get off my stage. Somebody's been listening to Leonardo DiCaprio for too long. Yay.
All right, next question.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No worries, no worries. Also, hi.
Hi.
My question is, I have a stand-up desk, or it can alternate between standing up and sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could come up with a potential booth, perhaps like draping a curtain around yourself while standing upwards with the desk. I have a tower computer that's on the ground.
Okay.
Would that help at all?
I actually recommend recording while standing because you're going to be able to use your diaphragm better. I usually stand up unless I am crouched under a chair with pillows because I'm forced to be. Standing desk is totally fine, but if the desk itself is raised, you're going to probably want the microphone on its own separate stand because you don't want it reverbing because the desk is elevated. So they sell like separate microphone stands. Your computer being elevated is totally fine. It's the actual microphone itself that needs to not be like sitting on a surface where it's gonna have reverb come through. Moving blankets are gonna be your best bet for like, if you wanna do like inexpensive capturing the sound. And they sell them at like Harbor Freight sells them for like $5. Those are the moving blankets I'm talking about. So you can go like buy 5 of them. I mean, if you want to drape that around you, I mean, go for it. But the microphone itself is going to be what you want to keep that sound contained. You can contain yourself in there with it, but make sure whatever's around your microphone is containing that sound, like those blankets or foam.
If you're standing, you're also more likely to do like physical acting, and it will enhance your performance.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I can hear Steve talking, and it's kind of cool. It's funny, I'm having another moment here, but I am part of Steve's classes, like Steve's school, and they were like, we're having a competition with the other stage, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, and then I found out it was Steve, and I was like, I can't do that,
It's really common for people in entertainment to have ADHD. It's why they hire personal assistants. So let's hear the next question.
Yeah.
Hey guys. I guess my question is more of, like, in terms of direction, like, how would you want to be guided around? I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna say a game dev, but I wanna get into it more. And I wouldn't know how to really direct a voice actor to get a certain read, other than saying like, can you repeat this over and over again until it just sounds right? Like, what type of descriptors or adjectives would you like want to be told to kind of modify your voice to a read?
Amazing question. So give as many details about that character and that scene as you possibly can. Like I've had auditions that they're like, here's the scene. This is what's happening. This character in particular is really confident and loud, but also kind of cocky and kind of has like a dark inflection to them. Those kinds of descriptions give us a better idea of what you want. And if you get it back and it's like, it's kind of what you want, but it's like missing that little something, you can tell them, like, this is great. Can you do this, but like with a slightly deeper voice? Or can you be a little bit quieter? Or, I mean, I've had some that they're like, can you laugh maniacally? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. But like, if you put those, like, I want dark undertones and this character is this, that, and the other, they're not gonna make it sound like Pikachu. So you wanna just give those like those descriptive words about your character. So everything that you're thinking, even if you think it doesn't matter, like character has blue hair, put it in there anyway. So as many details as possible.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next, before I get distracted. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to clarify about finding auditions. How would you said you could find auditions on like Twitter or Facebook? Like, how would you go about actually finding these? Like, what would you search for and stuff?
Just search like voice acting auditions. There are literally pages called voice acting auditions. So just look for those and just make sure what's on there looks legitimate. If you have a whole bunch of people that are like posting jobs and they don't have details about what they need, those are probably not the best ones.
Okay.
So just look for like fine-tuned details, check the page, make sure that it's authentic, those kinds of things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering, how many, like, whenever you do, like, the recordings, about how many takes on average per line do you usually do?
2.
2?
If you do more than 2, you're gonna start overthinking it. So do 1 and you're like, all right, I think I did good, but I think I can do better. But after this one, that's it. Because I've done it where I'm like, I would do it like 7 or 8 times and be like, oh, I might be able to do it better. No, I do it twice. Once that second take is done, unless I say like potato and I'm supposed to say orange, then I'll probably redo it because I said the wrong word. But do it like twice and stop second guessing yourself and just send it off, because otherwise you'll be there all night just trying to like fine tune something when in reality the directors just want to hear what you sound like saying it.
All right.
If it's not good enough for your director, they're gonna come back and let you know and give you those notes.
Hello. I have a quick question about if you guys are like making your reels or whatever, your demos.
Yeah.
Do you usually try to find one voice that you stick with some variation, or kind of have like a range of everything you can do?
So it depends on what reel you're doing. Like, people have separate reels for everything now. So like I have a commercial one and then I have a separate animation one. My animation one, I sound nuts. My commercial one sounds like you're going to the grocery store. So it depends on what type of reel you're doing. And if you, like I said, if you go to like Real Voice LA or something, they'll kind of like conduct you on like what to do and how. I do have different tones of voice in my reels, which you can hear if you go on my website. It'll kind of give you like a little bit of an idea. It's still your voice, but you want to show your range. So in animation, showing range. Commercial, you want to sound professional. Audiobook, well, you're going to want to do multiple voices, still sounding like yourself. So it depends on what you're recording for. But just keep that in mind. Like if it's animation, you're not going to sit there and sound like this through the entire reel, because that's not going to work. You're going to want to sound crazy. Crazy's fun.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
First off, thank you for hosting this. It's been very informative.
I'm happy that you guys are enjoying it. I hope everyone's enjoying it, because Thank you, because this is the first time I'm doing this by myself. I messaged my friends right before this panel, and I was like, I'm all alone. But I have Jess, so it's okay. Anyway, sorry. What's your question?
Yeah, no, I just got 2 quick ones.
Sure.
One is for volume recording levels. When you do auditions, do they tend to request like between like -12 and -18 for recording, or do they like have more specifics, or?
They usually say this character is Steve.
Oh, okay, cool. I do a lot of like video work, so I
gotcha.
just like doing voiceover and sending it out. Like
some
there's
of
more
them
specific.
will tell you, like there are some I've seen that were so incredibly technical that I was like, what? But most of them don't have that technicality. If you have that technical knowledge, that's phenomenal, because that will help you with your recordings. I've had maybe 2 that have been like, it needs to be blah, blah, blah level. And I was like, what on earth does that mean?
Yeah,
and I had to go figure it out.
If like, I don't know, if you're yelling and it's like peaking just a tiny bit and they're like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Just don't
if
want to
it's
mess with the
peaking,
audio.
that's when you go to your
Yep.
interface and you're like, I sound crazy.
Yeah,
and you turn it down a little
I just
bit.
wasn't too sure.
Yeah.
And then
No.
the second one is for people that have like the Adobe Suite, if there's any other software for voiceover besides the ones that you mentioned, that would be useful.
Those are the main ones. I honestly don't know. I'm sure there are more than that, but I would recommend using those because those are the ones that are most commonly used in the audition process.
Gotcha.
So they're already like kind of fine-tuned. Like somebody had mentioned using OBS. which is for streaming. You can record in there, but I have never recorded in OBS for voiceover. So you probably could, but I don't know what your sound quality would be. I've been using Adobe Audition for years, and that's been my best one.
No, that makes sense. I was
yeah.
just curious.
There's actually a good note. I don't know why I just thought of this. If you have a little clicker, like like a dog clicker, if you make a mistake, hit the clicker, because it's gonna shoot your your voice lines. I'm mentioning it to you because you're technical, but like when you have to go back and fix something, it'll like show you where it is. Yeah, I saw that trick and I was like, that's amazing.
Some people like clap, but it's always kind of annoying. So I like the clicker idea. Anyway.
I usually just go, and then I know that I made a really loud noise. I'm like, that's where I screwed up. There it is. I found it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Why, thank you.
Hello.
Hello. So my question is, you were talking about like the different pitches and stuff like that, like, hi, whoa, and stuff like that. So when you're making your reels and you were saying your animation one sounds like you're completely crazy and your other one sounds like, welcome to Walmart. When you're doing your reels and stuff, what would you recommend like doing in that way to find your exact pitch so it doesn't like hurt your voice? Because I know there are some voice actors that they do it to the degree that's like, it could be really scratchy and hurt them, but not to the degree that ruins it.
So that comes with practice, that comes with working with teachers and taking classes and then knowing your own voice personally. There are things that people will do that it does hurt their voice, or it's like again, I'm using Goku as an example because that's a pretty intense scream that he does in many, many, many episodes. Usually those, when you're doing those recordings, even for your reel, if you have to do an intense screaming voice, you're gonna wanna do that last. Because your voice is probably gonna need a little bit of recovery time and some rest. Final Fantasy 16, Clive, he talked about that. He said he did a lot of like the yelling and then he didn't talk for like 3 days. So sometimes your voice needs that rest if it's something that you need to do, but if you know that your reel is gonna have that in it, request to do that at the end, so that you have that time in order for your voice to like get a little bit of a break. That's what I would recommend. That's what I do. Okay. And Honey's awesome as well. We have time for one more question.
Crazy. Here you go.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry. I just
No, you're good.
One more.
I just wanted to make sure we're good on time, so.
So one thing I was thinking is like when recording with something that's like more emotional based, like how do you get into that rhythm of being like sad or angry or in tears, so and so?
That's different for everybody. There's a lot of people, actually, I just took a class with Bryce Pappenbrook and he was talking about that. And he's more like method actor. And he was talking about when he did Attack on Titan. And he's like, I don't recommend this, but for his character, he actually unhinged his jaw in the studio. Because that's his way of doing it. I don't do that. I recommend pulling from like emotionally, like if it's a really emotional character and it's something that upset them, I try to find something in my life that was upsetting and kind of pull from that. Or like give yourself some time to like really read into the character if that's the way that it works for you. Method acting can be scary, but I guess it works for some people because Bryce is extremely talented. But yeah, I kind of just pull from personal experiences and things that give me that particular emotion. Like if you're gonna be really sad. But again, that goes right back to the little V, big A, because you're acting even if you're in a little box. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So thank you everyone for coming to the panel.
Let's give it up for Jenna.
Thank you. Thank you. If you want more information, you can reach out to me and find me on Jenna Caine, CAINEVO.com. You can also find me on my socials at It's Jenna Caine. I am over in the cosplay area, which is right across from the voiceover celebrities. If you have any additional questions, I will do my best to answer them for you there. And I hope you all enjoyed the panel. And I hope you have a lovely day.